Hello, welcome to another episode of our channel. Today we're talking about the signs that you're being played by others. Have you ever felt like you're constantly being manipulated by people around you? Well, you're not alone. Studies have shown that a whopping 92% of people have been manipulated at least once in their life. So, buckle up, because today we will be discussing the 15 telltale signs that you're being played by others. And trust us, we've all been there. Before we begin, let me tell you a story about how I was played by my friend. I had just finished a long day at work, and I was feeling pretty down. My friend invited me out for drinks to cheer me up, and I thought it was a great idea. Little did I know, it was a ploy to get me to buy her drinks all night. Needless to say, I learned my lesson that night, and now I'm sharing my knowledge with you. Sign 1, they only contact you when they need something. Studies have shown that people who only contact you when they need something are more likely to be narcissistic. Have you ever noticed that some people only reach out to you when they need a favor or something from you? It's not that they're interested in you as a person, they just want something from you. These people are often self-absorbed and lack empathy for others. So, if someone only contacts you when they need something, it's a red flag that they might be using you for their game. Sign 2, they never follow through with their promises. People who frequently break promises often lack empathy toward others. Promises are meant to be kept, right? But what happens when someone repeatedly fails to follow through on their promises? It's frustrating and hurtful. People who consistently break promises may be showing a lack of empathy toward others. If someone frequently makes promises but never delivers, it's a sign that they may not value your time or feelings. Sign 3, they use your weaknesses against you. Manipulators often prey on people with low self-esteem. It's natural to have weaknesses, but it's not okay for someone to use them against you. If someone uses your insecurities or vulnerabilities to manipulate or control you, it's a sign that they may be a toxic person. Manipulators often prey on people with low self-esteem because they are easier to control. So, if someone in your life is constantly using your weaknesses against you, it's time to reevaluate your relationship with them. Sign 4, they give you the silent treatment. Silent treatment is a form of emotional abuse and is often used as a control tactic. We've all been there. You disagree with someone, and suddenly they stop talking to you altogether. Silent treatment is a common tactic used by manipulators to control and punish their victims. It's a form of emotional abuse that can leave you feeling confused, hurt, and powerless. If someone in your life is using silent treatment as a way to manipulate you, it's important to recognize it and set boundaries. Sign 5, they guilt trip you into doing things. Guilt is one of the most common emotions used to manipulate people. Manipulators often use guilt as a way to control and manipulate others. They may make you feel guilty for not doing something, or they may use guilt to make you feel obligated to do something for them. It's important to recognize when someone is guilt-tripping you and to set boundaries. Remember, you are not responsible for other people's emotions, and it's okay to say no. Sign 6, they gaslight you. Gaslighting is a form of psychological abuse that can have long-lasting effects on the victim. Gaslighting is a form of manipulation where the manipulator makes you doubt your memory, perception, or sanity. They may tell you that something never happened, or they may deny saying something that they clearly said. This can be incredibly confusing and can make you doubt yourself. Gaslighting is a form of psychological abuse that can have long-lasting effects on the victim. If you feel like someone is gaslighting you, it's important to trust your perceptions and seek support. Sign 7, they are always the victim. People who constantly play the victim often lack accountability and responsibility for their actions. Do you know someone who is always the victim? No matter what happens, they never take responsibility for their actions and always blame others for their problems. These people often lack accountability and responsibility for their actions, and they may use the victim card to manipulate others. If someone in your life is constantly playing the victim, it's important to recognize this behavior and set boundaries. Sign 8, they play mind games with you. Interesting fact, mind games can cause significant psychological distress and can be a form of emotional abuse. Mind games are a form of manipulation where the manipulator uses psychological tactics to control and confuse their victim. They may use tactics like triangulation, making you feel like you compete with someone else, love bombing, showing you excessive love and attention, or withholding affection or communication as a way to control you. Mind games can cause significant psychological distress and can be a form of emotional abuse. If you feel like someone is playing mind games with you, it's important to recognize this behavior and set boundaries. Sign 9. They constantly lie to you. People who frequently lie may have a personality disorder. Honesty is the foundation of any healthy relationship, but what happens when someone consistently lies to you? People who frequently lie may have a personality disorder, and they may lie as a way to manipulate or control others. If someone in your life is constantly lying to you, it's a sign that they may not value your trust or respect you as a person. Sign 10. They don't respect your boundaries. People who don't respect boundaries often lack empathy toward others. Boundaries are an important part of any healthy relationship, but what happens when someone consistently ignores your boundaries? People who don't respect boundaries may lack empathy towards others, and they may see your boundaries as a challenge to overcome. If someone in your life is consistently crossing your boundaries, it's important to recognize this behavior and set firm boundaries. Sign 11. They make you feel guilty for their problems. Blaming others for your problems is a common defense mechanism. Do you know someone who always blames others for their problems? They may make you feel guilty for their mistakes or try to manipulate you into taking responsibility for their problems. Blaming others for your problems is a common defense mechanism, but it's not a healthy way to cope with issues. If someone in your life is constantly making you feel guilty for their problems, it's important to set boundaries and recognize that their problems are not your responsibility. Sign 12. They try to isolate you from your support network. Isolation is a common tactic used by abusers to control their victims. Have you ever noticed that someone in your life is trying to isolate you from your friends or family? Isolation is a common tactic used by abusers to control their victims. They may try to convince you that your friends and family are not good for you, or they may even forbid you from seeing them altogether. This is a red flag, and it's important to recognize this behavior and seek support. Sign 13. They constantly make excuses. Making excuses is a way for manipulators to avoid taking responsibility for their actions. Have you ever had someone in your life who constantly makes excuses for their behavior? Maybe they're always late and blame it on traffic or something else out of their control. Or maybe they forget to do something important and blame it on being too busy. Whatever the case may be, making excuses is a way for manipulators to avoid taking responsibility for their actions. This behavior can be frustrating and exhausting to deal with, as it can make it difficult to hold someone accountable for their actions. It's important to recognize this behavior and set boundaries. Remember, it's okay to hold someone accountable for their actions and expect them to take responsibility. If you're dealing with someone who constantly makes excuses, it may be helpful to have an honest conversation with them about how their behavior is affecting you. Be clear about your expectations and boundaries, and don't be afraid to walk away if they're not willing to take responsibility for their actions. You deserve to be treated with respect and kindness, and it's okay to say no to things that don't align with your values. Sign 14. They don't show interest in your life. A lack of interest in your life may be a sign of emotional detachment. Do you know someone who never seems to show any interest in your life? They may not ask you about your day or seem disinterested when you talk about your interests. Lack of interest in your life may be a sign of emotional detachment, and it may mean that they are not invested in your relationship. If someone in your life never shows any interest in your life, it's important to recognize this behavior and evaluate whether this relationship is healthy for you. Sign 15. They use your vulnerabilities against you. Exploiting someone's vulnerabilities is a form of emotional abuse. Have you ever shared something vulnerable with someone, only to have them use it against you later? Exploiting someone's vulnerabilities is a form of emotional abuse, and it's not a healthy way to interact with others. If someone in your life is using your vulnerabilities against you, it's important to recognize this behavior and set boundaries. So, it's important to recognize the signs that someone is playing you so that you can set boundaries and protect yourself. Remember, you deserve to be treated with respect and kindness, and it's okay to say no to people who are not treating you the way you deserve to be treated. Trust your gut, and always prioritize your own well-being. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.